The next question that arises is, are the ages at which puberty begins for boys and girls actually different or not the same according to Islamic teaching?
Well, they can vary among boys themselves and among girls as well. Regarding this, there's a consensus of the Ummah that has been passed down through practical continuity. The companions taught the successors, who then taught their successors, and so on. There are also hadiths on this, but this isn't a matter of dispute. Disputed matters require evidence, but the consensus is that when signs of puberty appear, one is considered an adult. For a woman, one of the signs of puberty is the onset of menses, meaning menstruation, or the growth of pubic and armpit hair. Is the same for men, or the occurrence of nocturnal emissions, which is known as wet dreams. So these are the signs. Some boys reach it at 13, some at 12. And nowadays, with the kind of fast food we have and the prevalence of immodest content, people are becoming aware earlier. Some even reach puberty at 10. In hot Arab countries, girls can reach puberty as early as 8 or 9. Regarding Lady Aisha herself, it's mentioned in Bukhari and Muslim that her marriage contract was made when she was a minor at 6 and she moved in at 9. So a girl can become an adult at 9 if the signs of puberty are present. If not, she isn't considered an adult. However, if some time passes and no signs appear, but other girls of her age show those signs, she will also be considered to have reached puberty. And obviously, the age of puberty is important because after that, prayers and fasting become obligatory. Before that, it's just for encouragement. There's a hadith in Abu Dawood that says, when a child turns 7, tell them to pray, and at 10, enforce it. So it becomes a habit. Obligations start around 12 and a half, 13 or 14. There's a hadith in Bukhari where Hazrat Abdullah bin Umar says that during the battle of Badr, when I was presented for jihad, the Prophet, peace be upon him, stopped me because children weren't allowed. And at the time of the battle of Uhud, I was 14 years old. When I presented myself, I was given permission. So the age of 14 is established from Bukhari, and these 14 years are according to the lunar calendar. According to the Hijri calendar, this is about 13 and a half years in the Gregorian calendar. If it's 14 lunar years, it's roughly 13 and a half solar years, which is our Gregorian calendar. It could be 14 or even 15 for some. Then there's that detailed hadith in Bukhari and Muslim about the Banu Qurayza who broke their treaty. Ultimately, the decision was left to Sa'd ibn Mu'adh because the Jews said they'd accept his judgment. He decided that their adult men should be executed and the women and children taken captive. The details are in Sunan Abi Dawood and also in Bukhari and Muslim. A companion says that at that time, I was a minor, so I was spared. The method was that they checked for pubic hair. And since I didn't have any, I was counted among the children and released. And look, they became companions. If there had been even a year or a year and a half's difference, they would have been gone. Because it was a punishment for breach of contract. I have already spoken about Banu Qurayza separately. I don't need to speak about it again. So, pubic hair or nocturnal emissions, having a wet dream, or the onset of menstruation for women, or the growth of hair, this is their age of puberty. As soon as they reach puberty, Islamic rulings will become applicable to them. Alright? They have to decide the age themselves based on their own situation. Alright? Next, let me just take a moment to clear up one thing here because it's actually somewhat important. I would like to tell those mothers whose daughters are, approaching or crossing 10 years of age that they really should educate their daughters about this in advance. I might say some things that religious people might find offensive right now. Look, Islam, those who say that, well, there shouldn't be sex education, sir. There is sex education in Islam. I'm not saying that you should start teaching sex to a 2 or 3-year-old child. But just ask them, the companions of the Prophet had marriages at the ages of 14 or 15. Are our 14 or 15-year-old children educated regarding sex? No, we certainly weren't. I swear to you, I had reached engineering university and I didn't know about all these matters. I only knew that, a person has reached puberty and has to pray. What the relationship between a man and a woman is, from a sexual point of view, I didn't know anything at all. Whereas nowadays people find out, back then there was no YouTube. Right? There was no education. So it's the parents' responsibility to, educate daughters immediately once they turn 10. What happens? These girls study in schools and then, suddenly periods start at school. So the girl gets worried, sir. Her entire clothes get stained with blood, right? So after 10 years, inside the children's bags, a handkerchief or something like that, though things are more modern now, pads are available. Educate the children and the girls at 10 because girls do mature. And their pads, keep 1 or 2 pads for the girls when they go to school, and educate them beforehand that if such a thing happens, don't be worried. Some sensible female teachers do educate them, But the parents, what the poor girls go through, just ask those who are married, ask your wives what a scene it was when it happened to them for the first time. And then they'll tell stories of their friends too. This happened to so and so, that happened, and such a scene is created. Instead of that, man, why don't you educate people? And boys, similarly, if boys have turned 12, definitely educate them regarding sex in this context. I'm not saying you give them the kind of education that is given to small children in madrasas practically, right? I'm speaking in code words now. Give them that education so at least they know that, nocturnal emission is a thing, ritual bathing becomes obligatory. This kind of education is the parent's job. And children often do not really know about properly cleaning pubic or underarm hair. Poor kids who lack education sometimes use blades and accidentally injure themselves, right? Usually mothers teach girls about using creams, but no one really tells young boys about special razors or how to use them safely. So they remain stuck with these problems. Everyone has their own unique puberty story. So sir, you have children at this point in your life. Don't let them repeat the same struggles you went through. Make sure to educate them properly. Do it immediately. My eldest daughter is almost 12 or 13 years old. So my wife educated her regarding this because she doesn't discuss it with me, but she told her mom about girls experiencing things and crying all day because they didn't understand what was happening. So then she educated her on the whole process. Then the teachers also said, you should, use underwear. So educate children like this. You have to give sex education after this age. If you don't, they'll learn from YouTube and then they'll learn a lot of other things. That's right. Okay, so you should turn the tables first. Educate them and tell them it's a natural process, that this is just how it happens. Then the Arabs, sir, were educated. They raised goats, saw births, and even their small children knew how babies were born. They were educated on all these things in childhood. That's why 13 or 14-year-olds were married. By 18 or 20, they'd have 3 or 4 kids. Our 20-year-olds are just clueless. They don't know anything about anything. So in that era, 1400 years ago, this education existed. So why don't we give our children this kind of education? We should. This is quite a sensitive issue. Since it came up today, I have already spoken about it. I have made a plan and I will share it with you. Now, God willing, may that day come. I had planned to record a session specifically for children who are between the ages of 10 and 15 years old. So if parents are too shy to tell them themselves, they can just show the video and say, son, watch this, which covers ablution, ritual bathing, dry ablution, personal hygiene, all these things needed during puberty due to hormonal changes. They read books with weird stories instead. So instead of that, this education must be given so that those poor children don't struggle or feel humiliated wandering around for information. In this regard, actually, our Tablighi Jamaat or Dawat-e Islami, these missionary organizations that have been formed, they have a lot of positivity. Because the same thing happened with us too. I had already joined Dawat-e Islami before I even reached puberty. I even remember the date I reached puberty, May 26, 1992. So I was educated because I was in Dawat-e Islami. We used to pray, and even before that we prayed. I had learned things like ablution and ritual bathing. So these organizations at least educate people on these things, don't they? A video like this should be made where we explain all these things in code words in such a way that it reaches them in a civilized manner. They will learn the rest anyway, but when they learn it themselves, sir, then it will become a problem for you. Then they will think they have discovered a new world. Okay, instead, if you present it as a normal thing, there won't be any problem. So it's necessary to do this. I am a strong supporter of sex education within such a controlled scope before everything goes to ruin. But I'm not talking about that kind of education. Please understand. Obviously, when a bearded, turbaned man who prays and is a leading global speaker on preaching and propagation says this, no one should misinterpret it by cutting and pasting. I'm presenting the matters in this way. Is that clear?